is, what makes up a nucleotide as a review? Who could tell me? What's my big circle? Yes. Phosphate. Is always attached to? Raise your hand if you could tell me. Look at the structure. Sugar. 5 carbon sugar, and it's not ribose. It's deoxyribose. Okay, because it's a 5 carbon sugar on DNA, has to be deoxyribose. What is this? One of the bases. Good. It's an N base. That's not supposed to be there. And if my pink N base is thymine, what would the next base be? How do you know? Because A goes with T, and look at A and T, look like a perfect puzzle piece. So if this is guanine, what's the yellow piece going to be? Cytosine. And that is not the shape of the nitrogenous bases. They portray them as shapes and perfect fitting puzzles because they go together. Nucleotides connect to form what? DNA. Remember that nucleotides are the building blocks of DNA. So all DNA is a bunch of nucleotides. What is the shape of DNA? Double helix. And when you really look at it, it kind of looks like a twisted ladder. Yes? You've got some sticks, some extra parts here, and then it starts to twist for some reason. Anybody know the reason of this twist? That was a terrible drawing, by the way. Whoops. What's the reason for the twist?
I don't know if it's for the twist, but to keep it together.
It's so big and it doesn't fit inside the nucleus, so it coils in order to accommodate itself inside the nucleus. Now, when we reference the backbone or the stem of the ladder, what is the backbone of DNA?
The phosphate and sugar.
Good. The phosphate and the sugar. Phosphate always combines with a sugar. So when you have to draw your DNA molecule, you have to keep that in mind. That phosphate always combines to a sugar. I'm going to open up a new page and show you what I mean by that. So if you have to reference the video, you can. If I draw this circle, what is it? Phosphate. What's this? 5 carbon sugar. And what's a 5 carbon sugar attached to? Nitrogen base. What's this that I just drew here? Raise your hand if you could tell me. A nucleotide. Okay? Now phosphate always attaches to 5 carbon sugar. There's my phosphate attaching to the next 5 carbon sugar. And what's attached to this? Nitrogen base. Phosphate always attaches to 5 carbon sugar. Okay? I'm going to come back to this drawing in a minute. Now, my nitrogen base are attached together by hydrogen bonds. That means one N base is going to attach to another N base with hydrogen bonds. So I'll go back to my picture. If I do this, what's that? H bond attached to a nitrogenous base, attached to a what? No. 5 carbon sugar attached to a phosphate. Attached to a 5 carbon sugar, and I know that doesn't look anything like, I'm going to change this to an A, and I'm going to put 2 hydrogen bonds. So if I erase here, what do I have to put on this side? A T. And I'm going to erase this one, and I'm going to put a G. What comes next? No? What comes next? Hydrogen bonds. Then comes C, attached to a 5 carbon sugar, which is attached to a phosphate. Honrs H bonds? What I taught you before? They're polar covalent bonds, which means what?
One that steals electrons
No,
from another.
covalent. Covalent means what? They share unevenly, and they're the what? They're the weakest bond. Hydrogen bonds are the weakest bonds. That's why DNA is constantly breaking apart and coming back together. And this is why DNA replication is so easy. I'll go back to that page. Let's finish this. So DNA replication. What does that mean if I say that word replication? To recreate. I like it. I'll write it down. Recreate. What else? Reproduce. Like it. What else? Keep going. It occurs during S phase. So what does S phase mean? Synthesis. Good. That's the word I was waiting for. And also, all those words were good too. Making of or copying itself. That's what DNA replication means. It's going to unzip, and then it's going to copy each side. And it kind of, instead of like taking DNA and making a new one, since it unzips, and you're left with A over here and T over here, what do you think is going to come in? A new strand with its corresponding end bases. I'm going to show you a video so that makes a little bit more sense.